I'm John Kotter, and just to be clear at the beginning, I recognize that this must look, to most of you, pretty absurd. This is indeed a stuffed bird. It's an emperor penguin, but it's... And this is a prop because it's not freezing in here. This is a nice studio at 68 degrees, so why are we doing this? Well, Holger Rathgaber and I have recently written a book that's called Our Iceberg is Melting. And the book is about a penguin colony in Antarctica, emperor penguins, like our friend here. And the book also is, in a sense, kind of silly, but the purpose of the book and the lessons of the book couldn't be more serious. The basic structure of the story is this. It's a fable, takes 45 minutes to read. There's this middle-level penguin in the colony who starts to notice that something's wrong. A very curious guy. There seems to be a piece of the iceberg they lived on and have lived on for generations over here that has disappeared. And so because he's curious, he starts looking around and he discovers some very disturbing evidence that the iceberg could be melting. And worse yet, and it's a long story, but what it boils down to, he discovers that the iceberg is melting in a way that it could literally break apart during the dead of winter when it is literally dark down there about 24 hours a day with catastrophic consequences. But he's not a boss. He can't order anybody. He has no credibility as a forecaster of the weather. And people aren't inclined to listen to somebody who worries. And the book is about what Fred did. It's a book about change, a book about a changing world and how you can change with it or not change. And in this little fable, we have put all of the very, very real problems that we've found when studying organizations in the real world, the problems they run into when they have difficulty even seeing change, the problems they run into when they try to deal with it, and we put in the most clever of solutions that we've seen real people come up with, so that at the end they really achieve something terrific. They end up in better condition than when they started. And our penguins in this story, as it turns out, are like that, those guys that do great. They're very, very clever penguins. And the book is written as a fable because I'm convinced that more and more and more people have to understand how the world is changing, the need for change, how change works when it works well, or organizations are going to have a heck of a time adapting to an increasingly turbulent environment that we find out there. And the rate of change is not going to slow down. The evidence is overwhelming about that. And this little fable, which puts a bit of a smile on most people's faces and is interesting and fun to read, we hope, and we have evidence at least so far, that a lot of people will read it. It will change the nature of a conversation in an organization. It will get issues out. It will get people from below initiating more. It will reduce the anxiety level around what change might do to you, and in the process it will help speed up in a useful way any change that you're embarking upon, whether it's a new strategy or process engineering or integration of an acquisition. It doesn't matter. this little kind of silly thing can do a lot of this. And that's why I want to bring it to your attention. That's why Fred wants to bring it to your attention. And as I said, I know this looks a little strange, and so does the book, by the way. But you'd be surprised what it can do. That's right, right? He said yes.